one thing that definitely makes a difference is your learning ability. If you want to make a difference for yourself, and you want to feel that, yes, this is something which I want to learn, that is the knowledge. When you use the knowledge in the right way, or the most effective way, to get a lot of benefit for you and the people around, that makes all the difference for the world.
Hi and welcome to another episode of the peopleHum interview series. This is your host Anushka at peopleHum. peopleHum is an end-to-end one-view integrated human capital management automation platform, the winner of the 2019 Global Cody Award for HCM, that's specifically built for crafted employee experiences and the future of work. We run the peopleHum blog and video channel, which receives upwards of 200,000 visitors a year, and we also publish several interviews with well-known names globally every month. We have with us today Sirish, who is a leadership and management facilitator, keynote motivational speaker, HR consultant, and OD specialist. Being a learning and leadership development leader and expert, Sirish is driven by a strong desire to create and build positive impact on individuals and organizations. He's a diversified management professional with an overall 20 years of experience across 5 different industries in building and leading learning and leadership development function, organizational development interventions, business HR, and behavioral consulting for large and medium organizations. We're so happy and honored to have someone of his stature today on our interview series. Welcome, Sirish. We're thrilled to have you.
Thank you so much, Anushka, and it's a pleasure to be part of peopleHum. And I wish to share whatever that's possible from my side, the best that I could, whatever the questions you have.
Thank you very much. The pleasure is absolutely ours.
Pleasure is mine too.
So, you've been working in HR for the past 20 years across different industries. So before we actually delve into the interview, could you just, in a nutshell, tell us about your overall experience? How has it been like? And did you always see yourself as a leadership and management facilitator?
Good. My experience started, I would say, experience as learning. So all my 20 years is a learning in the corporate world and in all my career. This learning started, through the sales and marketing after I did my MBA marketing. And then I joined into sales and marketing for an liquor company. I spent around, close to 2 years there. But there was a layoff. They closed down the Indian operations, and that's when I moved on to another company. That's when it all started. My learning about the organizations, about the people, and about managing the teams and all. And I spent a good amount of time in sales and marketing, and then I moved into recruitments. There's a manpower recruitment organization, and then into behavioral consulting. Later, I also moved into the corporate world. That's a all different ball game when you are in the corporate world, purely working for bigger organizations. And I had the experience to get into HR and lead HR, business HR for an organization, American company, then into leadership and management. And since then, I've been into leadership and management for the last 10, 12 years. If I look at all my experience, it's a very diversified experience. So each and every function that I've worked, whether it's sales, whether it's consulting, whether it's HR, whether it's L&D, it's all a different learning experience for me. And I've been going through this learning process for quite a long time, and I enjoyed each and every moment of mine. And leadership and management didn't happen just like that. I always had this desire to get into a higher level of learning and development. When I mean to say a higher level is to create those learning programs, create those learning interventions for the leadership role, which I strongly believe that if an organization is existing, an organization will have a culture, and that culture usually forms because of the team that is there on the top. So the leadership team is very crucial. So what kind of leadership culture that they are going to build in an organization matters a lot. That's when I had this zeal to get into more of leadership and management development. I felt if an organization is going to be successful, it's based on the kind of leadership that is existing on the top. and what kind of decisions that these guys would make, and how they make the a diversified business or a diversified processes, maybe moving from a waterfall to an agile, or moving from one line of business to the other line of business. How they diversify themselves is all decisions. So what happens is these decisions will impact the people in the bottom line. So creating that kind of leadership is very crucial and important. Looking at that, that really motivated me, that really made me excited. So I picked up that kind of role when I got the opportunity. I said that I need to work more on this one. I think this is where I can really help some organizations to create the best of the organizations. And learning is very important, and that's what I feel a leader has to learn all the time.
Love the elaborate response, and congratulations on the phenomenal journey you've had till date. And love the approach as well. And I completely, wholeheartedly agree with the fact that learning is a journey. There's no start and end point.
Right.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Sirish. So, coming to the next question, you've mentioned that employee learning experience can be really enhanced through digital and social and mobile technologies these days. So, how would you like to reiterate that in light of the pandemic?
Right. So earlier, the learning and development used to be like there's a classroom sessions. There are things where people used to come to like a typical school kind of atmosphere where there's a trainer. The trainer is there only to teach you. This kind of thing. And later they moved to a facilitation, and people started looking at various models in the learning and development. They're looking at how we can really the adult learning is always a different ball game. They brought in a lot of models into that, and said how we could train, or how we could make these employees to learn much better. So they are creating a lots of tools around that. And that's when there was an e-learning which came in. There's a social learning which came into picture. So there's a lot of digital thing came into that. Just imagine, I want to give you a scenario. Just imagine that like there is a software where you are going to attend a particular program. The way that you could feel literally in a classroom, that you are moving in the classroom, that you are going and sitting next to another participant, and you are talking to the other participant, or we are creating small groups within the classroom, and the way that we want to create it, and we want to create a learning atmosphere out of that. If that is possible through a place where you're sitting, and you're still able to feel the classroom atmosphere, that means you're having 2-3 cameras, and then you are the HoloLens of Microsoft. We're typically taking that into an example, and you're creating that kind of atmosphere where you have the personal touch of a facilitator, and you can still feel. Just imagine if we are creating such kind of digital learning atmosphere. No need to travel anywhere. You can just sit at your home. The new normal is making a lot of difference now. So if this is how the new technology is going to be, and people are also getting those kind of inputs. So I'm asking now, the chatbots are there. People are also using the chatbots. People are also using various tools. Like Zoom has taken up a lot of priority these days. And I mean, MS Teams is MS Teams, and we have Google Meets. All these are playing a lot of role in the employee learning experience. And this mobile learning where you can have those important 1-minute bites, or so 5-minute bites, or 10 minutes. So there's lots of these things have been created, and YouTube for that matter also making a lot of difference in the learning. So learning is everywhere. But what really, I feel is like when we are having a conversation and you have a question there. So I tell certain things and certain concepts. You understand the model, you understand the design of it, and then you have certain questions, and you want to relate it to how you could improve your own skill set or your own competence. And you want to ask some questions. You want to have a conversation with me. You want to bring in your emotional touch. I think that is going to be there all the time. So classroom sessions will be there, and they are very much important. But the technology should also, support in such a way that the people are also as if they are feeling that they are in the classroom, and the personal touch. I think to that level, the digital technology might, improve. At the same time, the technology is also helping us to do a lot of analytics. The analytics, the way that to look at how many people attended what kind of course, how much time they have spent on that, what kind of people attending that, which level of people are attending them, and also looking at certain inputs which these people were very freely giving in the feedback, and what kind of improvement that we need to make for those kind of programs. There's a lot which we can do with that. We can also understand that in what way their competence or their performance have improved. So these elements can be captured. So digital data is very much important, having that. And that data, using it for some business decisions or from performance development really matters a lot. So that's what I feel. um, Technology is definitely making a lot of difference, because another point is the generation. So we have millennials, then we have Gen Z, then we are going to get the new generation over a period of time. And the generations are evolving, and the way that they are using these tools is increasing. I think somewhere we also need a balance of telling people what they've learned and how they are applying it. So what kind of inputs that a personal touch or emotional touch which is required. At the same time, there's a lot of possibilities for these people to learn. So I remember when I joined the organizations, that time we don't have much. It's more of a classroom sessions, and then there's an e-learning which came in, and then we were used to the computer-based training, CBT, which we used to call. So it evolved today, and there's a lot of possibility that this can go to a next level as well, as like mentioned.
That's great. I love the points that you just put forward. And it's great how you actually combine change management with digital transformation in learning, and also to align generations at the workplace. That's great. Completely agree with you. So, Sirish, you've also worked across several small scale, middle scale, and large scale organizations. So, in your opinion, the application of HR practices is often different in each of these organizations. So, would you like to comment on that?
Yes. Um, the small scale, the medium scale, and the large scale organizations has a lot of difference in terms of the size, in terms of the responsibilities, in terms of the resources that you will have, and how you run your business. So if I take an HR function in a small scale organization where you have only 3-4 people in the function, HR function, one person managing the training, the other person managing the entire MIS, the other person managing the admin part, or maybe the payroll, salaries, time and management, and all. And then there's another person who is a manager managing the entire thing. So there, you will see a lot of activities managed by that person. Sometimes even HR manages the admin work as well. Okay. So looking at the number of seats available, looking at the kind of infrastructure required, looking at the entire location, what facilities that they have, and how to interact with various vendors and all. So that person is having a lot of accountability there, a lot of work to do, and a very small team and a small size of that. Responsibilities are very high, resources are very less, and it is going to make a big impact the way that they want to run the business. So if you come to a medium scale, they have the issue with more of the infrastructure. So moving from just like a small scale industry, a small scale organization doesn't have the flexibility of using some technology, some certain tools, certain softwares, investing more onto that. But in a middle scale, there is also a slight a challenge and difficulty there. So what happens is, where you have to start looking at some more investment. You will still have the small size of the HR function, maybe some 20 people or 25 people, because it's a small to medium, this kind of organization, so medium organization. So but if you look at large scale, there are different functions. You will see that there's a huge availability of the resources. There are 10-15 people. Like, you will have a recruitment team, you will have a comp and ben team, you will have BHR team, you will have a learning and development team, you have an OD team, you have merger and acquisitions, team which is working on certain parts of the, rebadging of employees and all. So there's a lot of, functions that are there. So because it's the size of the organization. So typically it's the size of the organization. So you will have more people, very, confined responsibilities. So you will not be managing everything. Very less there. But when you look at the small and medium, it is a big challenge. So that's where I see that the learning also makes a big difference there. A person who is working in a small organization, trying to manage everything, knowing right from the laws, the employment laws, the compensation laws and everything. But when the person moves into a mid scale in mid scale, typically you try to outsource also. In the large scale, you have a specialized team. They just focus only on that part of it. So you don't get to know a lot of other areas of it unless and until there's a cross, sub-functional movement. So these are some of the things which plays a very important role. And also people feel like the learning has become very narrowed there. So though there are positives and there are small negatives in around, but this is how the small, medium, and large scale organizations are. That's exactly what my experience is about working with the small, medium, and large. And I personally had this experience where when I was managing the recruitment firm as a person, they also have an IT training division. So when they have an IT training division and they've got around 25 to 30 people there, and then I have another 6-7 people working in the recruitment team, and they also have a plan to start a small software projects. They want to, people who are going through these training programs, they want to take these people and put them into some kind of projects where it's a proprietary based firm. So people are looking at getting some projects and all. So that's another part of it. So it's a small where you have to manage everything, right? From looking at the location, the resources, the infrastructure part of it, the IT person, you have to manage everything there. Even I managed accounts there. So I have to closely look into the accounts, what's happening. And also I'm being HR, so I'm accountable there, being a manager. And that was the part. So when I moved into a medium scale, that there is a lot of challenge in terms of the softwares that they use, in terms of the way that we want to serve the business, the leaders and also the clients, and how we are going to leverage that part is always a question. So the ecosystem, is completely different when we see from a small, medium to large.
Got it. That was such a great response. It was really enlightening because we've never had another influencer speak on the differences and the pros and cons of each of these organizations. So that's great. And
Yeah.
I really like the part where you say we need to also use learning and development to constantly reskill and upskill ourselves. I think with the pandemic, that's become the need of the hour.
Right. So I always feel like it's something like this. Now people are using a lot of automatic cars as well. So when you move from one location to other, or the market is changing. It's ever changing. The technologies are changing. Everything is changing around you. So you have to learn. Okay. And once you feel like you are a little confident on all that, it is not going to sustain for long time. So you have to unlearn what you have to learn. So that willingness of moving from learning to unlearn to relearn something is important. The minute you move from your comfort zone and start moving through towards the growth zone, I think that entire part of it. So that is very important. So learning zone is very important. So leave that comfort zone, get into the learning zone, and then see that there is a growth coming in. But this is a continuous cycle. It cannot stop.
Great. Love it. Thank you so much. So, Sirish, in your opinion, like, what do you and think, and like, how do you see the future of HR really develop?
Excellent. I think HR is going to lose some, roles which are there typically today. What we see, um, like there is a comp and ben executive or an BHR executive or something like this. These roles are going to change. So then there are happiness officer is coming in. There is an engagement officer is coming in. So there are new roles are going to come up, And these roles, I think there was recently one survey where the person was talking about what kind of new roles that would emerge over a period of time in the HR. What I see is, let me put this point very simple and easy. Human means there are feelings and emotions that the person always expresses, but there's also a point that the human brings some amount of intelligence. That's knowledge, competence, whatever you're talking about. It's an intelligence that they bring in. So this intelligence is hidden sometimes when they're given right opportunities, right platforms, like a kind of right support given to them. This intelligence can be maximized. So what we are using today is very very less. So I was watching one movie, Hollywood movie. I don't remember the name of that movie. It's quite a long time. And in that movie, that person tells like, you're using only 10% of your, capacity of your brain power. So if you're using much more, it is, different. So just imagine we as HR people, we are trying to manage and enhance the intelligence of the human. So I do understand that human is a resource, but understand that it is much more than that. It's far better than that. So my quote here is that don't treat human as a resource, treat them as an intelligence. If you are trying to manage the intelligence, please be very careful, that because that intelligence also has some emotional part, and which we need to be very careful about. So this is something which, as an HR person, when we are moving forward, when the machines are going to take over, when the digital technology is going to change a lot of things around, the IoT is going to make a difference. A lot of things are getting connected, and in one small click, you can make a lot of things to happen. And if that is going to be there, so what amount of that emotional touch would be there? So I want people to look at that part, see that that can be maximized. So new roles should also focus on that. The second part is like using this digital technology, trying to look at the trigger points, why people are leaving, how we are recruiting people, what is really making the difference, in what way we are trying to enhance the performance, which are the things that are playing a very important role in enhancing the human performance. So identifying those triggers, those leads, through use of these analytics, the data and analytics, that makes a lot of difference for the businesses to perform much higher than what they are doing today. And also always tapping the intelligence of the human. So if we can manage this entire part of it, and I'm sure the next generations, or the future, is going to be awesome. It's going to be quite exciting. It's going to be, I'm getting goosebumps when I just imagine. I have my kid, who is now in fourth standard. I'm just imagining when he turns up to a man, 22, 20, 23, and gets into the corporate world, how it's going to look like, how the entire world is going to look like. Just, thinking that another 12 years, and how this entire thing is going to change the world, what new things are going to come up, how this world will be moving in with a lot of digital and automation and the mobility part which is happening today. I think that is where we need to focus at. And in fact, HR is also evolving a lot. A lot of transformation is happening within the HR, where people are trying to use the help of, like if you see the last organization where I was, they have a chatbot. And that was not there earlier. So when you have a query, you need something, just go to the chatbot and it will directly tell you where particular file is there, where particular form is there, how you can fill it up, what is the process of it, everything it is. So it is becoming very employee friendly. So it is reducing the stress that employees are going through. So it makes a lot of difference. Yeah.
To actually balance emotional quotient with intelligence quotient, both are extremely necessary. So just a follow-up question, do you feel in the future chatbots and AI can really replace the human in human resources? Or
no. My point is definitely no. We always need that human touch. Like I mentioned, when you are very low, you don't expect a robot coming in, sitting next to you, putting its hand onto you and saying that all will be fine, don't worry. It doesn't have that emotional part which you don't see it. You just look at the face of the robot, it's the same face, there's no feelings at all. But what really needs is, just imagine, When we are talking to each other, we look into the eyes of the person and then we talk. A lot is happening between that, right? So that is where the real connection that happens. That's what I personally feel. So when we are talking, the rest of the things are moving in, but the eyes are also exchanging a lot of information. There's a lot of expressions that are coming in that. And if tomorrow some scientist creates that as well and makes it as a pure human, just you can't even differentiate between the human and the robot. I think, I don't know, the world might go to that level or not. But yeah, the human touch, the touch that you will have by this, this hand, this flesh, this skin and everything, that really makes a big difference. That's what I feel. um,
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. Yes, absolutely. And I feel we need to use technology more as an enabler than a replacer.
right.
Yes.
So technology is something which is helping you to make the right decisions. I would say, rather, I will take back my word right. I would say effective decisions. Anything that what we are doing today is going to give you more benefit or more value by choosing another decision in that place, is, I feel, as more effective. If that is really helping us, everyone in this world, and helping the mankind to excel themselves and to get the highest level of happiness, performance, productivity, best way of living and all that, I think that really matters.
Thank you so much for that. Love the response. Just to kind of wrap this interview up, do you have any last sound bites you'd like to leave our audience? And also, do you have any advice for the section of the audience who have like similar aspirations as yourself?
Great. I personally say one thing which I really liked about myself, and I still do that. So recently, I took this advantage of the pandemic. I've subscribed to various courses, like on Coursera, on Udemy, and then on LinkedIn Learning. So I've done few programs on the technology part. So trying to understand cloud, AI, ML, AR, so all this, and try to understand what is blockchain, try to understand what is digital transformation in the organization. So what is happening around on that part, apart from the regular areas that I'm interested in, my own core competence. Now, this is something which I've been doing it. So I only advise people that one thing that definitely makes a difference is your learning ability. If you want to make a difference for yourself, and you want to feel that, yes, this is something which I want to learn, that is the knowledge. When you use the knowledge in the right way, or the most effective way, to get a lot of benefit for you and the people around, that makes all the difference for the world. Now my advice is like, sit in a calm place, try to understand where your heart actually feels like to go through, so what really it wants. And then when you know that this is what you want to do and this is what you love to do, put efforts in learning that. And when you want to feel that, because I never knew that I will get into the leadership and management. When I've done my MBA marketing, I was aspiring to become a chief marketing officer. I want to sell the best of the products to the people, and I want to be known as a great marketing person. But I never knew that I moved from that to a recruitment. In recruitment, I thought like recruiting people was so nice. You interview them, you ask different questions, you'll see how they respond, you get to know. But when I saw myself the competence of the learning, when I moved into my one of the organization where I worked, Middle Earth, and there I learned essence of learning there. So why learning is so important for a person to grow better. So today, even Modi is learning. There are a lot of people who are reading books. They are putting a lot of efforts to learn a lot. So learning is continuous. I suggest, take your time, sit through, understand where your heart beats, take that route, put efforts to learn, and success will follow you.
Thank you very much. Love the last bit of advice and positivity. We really need that, yes. And completely agree with you on the learning process. Everyone should, yeah, just keep learning and be on the constant journey of learning and enriching themselves, yes. Thank you so much, Sirish. It was an honor to interview you, and I really gained such enlightening and fresh perspectives from you. And I feel if I can learn so much in like a 20-minute interview, I'm sure our audience are going to benefit from this as well. So thank you so
My
much for giving us the time.
My pleasure. I thank you, peopleHum, and I thank you, Anushka, to interview me, and also this opportunity. I'm just one small part of this, entire world, a very, very, very tiny part. If you tap a lot of people from the, HR fraternity, from the L&D fraternity, there's a lot huge repository which you can, dig out to, and there's lots of, individual stories that people have. A lot could be inspired. So that's what I personally feel. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My pleasure.
Pleasure is absolutely ours. Thank you. And we're hoping to stay in contact and do the second lap of the interview with you in the future.
My goodness, that's really great. I'm so honored. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much. Take
Have
care.
a wonderful time. Stay safe, stay healthy.
You too. Bye bye.